pause for a moment. Well, hello there, fellow maker. Welcome down to the shop. A very echoey and kind of empty shop as we're moving. This is Prop Live, your weekly or bi-weekly prop and costume making Q&A session. And we are joined today by a guest, Josh from Treatz Cosplay. Josh, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I'm so honored.
Oh, that's too kind. You have some very fashionable headphones on there. I feel underdressed.
Thank you.
Those are pretty
Thank
fantastic. Were those for a specific costume?
They were for a trash cosplay, just something super casual. It's just like a schoolboy mudkip kind of dealio to hop around the con in. So,
yeah. But they obviously, are you using them right now as headphones though?
I am, yes.
It's pretty great. I need to find a reason, I think, to have headphones that are stylish in some manner, other than just normal ones. I don't know.
Express
maybe a helmet,
yourself.
maybe like a Destiny helmet with headphones built into it. I think that'd be pretty great.
Oh yeah, that would be good. Mm-hmm.
Josh, what have you been up to lately? Any cool, fun projects you've been working on?
Well, we just finished our big con here in Calgary. It was a week and a half ago, so I've been busy washing all of my costumes pretty much. Yeah. But right now I'm working on a Sakizo illustration, so a big sewing project.
Oh my goodness.
So yeah. Yeah.
Now Calgary Expo, that's one that I still haven't made it to, but people keep telling me that's one of the ones that you gotta go to.
I mean, in Canada, there's not that many, so we are a big one. Yeah.
Right. Any good highlights from this year's show? Any cool costumes maybe that you saw that you really liked?
Well, this year was cool. We were actually hosting one of the qualifiers for the Fan Expo Masters of Cosplay. Mm-hmm. So I had a couple friends competing, and actually some of my friends won.
Oh, that's
so
fantastic!
They'll be competing in Ontario in September.
That is cool. Malcolm in the chat says that Calgary was a great con, and he was there. That's great.
Yes.
Awesome. For those of you guys following along at home, couple quick things. One, you can look up Josh on Instagram. If you look up Treatz Cosplay with a Z in there, you'll find Josh's page, and you should go follow him. And in fact, for some reason, I'm not following you, but I am now. That's been fixed. Also, if you're watching live, then we need your questions. Any prop and costume making questions, specifically since Josh is such a wizard with a sewing machine. If you have any sewing questions, I'm going to put the pressure on you, Josh. If you have any sewing questions, please submit those over at punishprops.com/live. There's a little form you can fill out there to send your question. That gets emailed to us, and we'll add it to our list. So do that now. If you're watching live and you have a question, any prop and costume making question, but specifically sewing stuff, send those questions in, and we will get to those in just a few moments. But first, I want to talk about this sword on your Instagram page. I don't know what it's from, but I'm very interested in it. It's a sword that's orange and purple and got some green on there.
Yes. Seventh Heaven.
Okay.
So it's from the game Dark Cloud, which was like, I think it came out like 2000-ish for the PS2. Mm-hmm. And it's one of the main characters' like maximum strength swords. Is that how I would say it? Mm-hmm. Yeah. But it's one of the iconic swords from the game, and I was kind of cosplaying the character, and I'm like, well, let's just try that.
Yeah.
And then I started painting it, and I'm like, this was a bad decision.
Really?
Oh, it took forever.
Oh,
but
yeah.
I'm happy with it.
Yeah, the final product is fantastic. And I like that you listed the materials, too. You use a little bit of everything. Some EVA, some Warbler.
A little bit, yeah.
And you have Model Magic? Is that like a modeling clay?
Yeah, it's actually made by Crayola, so it's kind of like Play-Doh, but it dries to a hard texture, but it's super lightweight, so it's really nice for bigger props.
That's pretty cool. Speaking of sewing projects, too, since you're all up into that, I've seen a lot of your costumes listed. Again, if you guys aren't following Josh on Instagram, you really ought to. A lot of these are, I guess you would say, maybe not necessarily form-fitting, but they have to fit your body fairly well. Do you have like a mannequin that you work off, or a form?
Mostly I started off just with measurements kind of thing, just kind of constantly trying things on me and adjusting. But now I have lovely mannequins.
Yeah. You've got a whole team of mannequins.
And Henry, yeah. Just cheap ones. You get them from stores when they go out of business.
Sure.
Kind of thing.
And are they just kind of roughly your size then? Just they get you close?
Close.
Yeah.
They're like an inch off.
And how did you come up with the names?
I picked names that I didn't know anybody who was already named that, because that would be weird.
We have
We have
one. Hold on, is it over there? Yeah, we have one hiding over there. We're building a costume for our friend Jazza, and the mannequin. We just got a cheap mannequin that's kind of normal size, normal shaped. But when you walk into a dark workshop and that thing's kind of just a silhouette in the corner, do your mannequins ever scare the crap out of you?
Oh yeah, no. The first week, because I have it like right outside my bedroom door, and just at first turn, it's like, yep. Nope.
We took the head off of it because we thought maybe that would make it look less human, but it's actually more terrifying.
Yep, that would do that. Yeah.
I'm going to head Brittany off at the pass because I see a fluffy animal tail over your left shoulder, and I'm going to ask, what is your pet?
I have a cat.
Yeah, and what's your cat's name?
Yeah. His name is Sly. He's a destroyer of worlds, but he's cute. Yeah. Keeps me company. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. And does he help? I mean, our cats help so much, especially when we're in the sewing room.
He's really good for adding weathering and battle damage to props.
Very good.
That is what he's good at.
Yeah, ours are kind of okay with that too. Awesome. Well, we're going to dive into some questions here in just a moment. Folks watching live at home, our wonderful prop tarts. If you have a question, punishprops.com/live is the place to submit it. Any prop and costume making questions. But also, I want to point out that we are moving our shop. That's why it's so echoey. That's why I'm in the shop right now instead of the office. So if you have any questions about leasing a commercial space or moving your entire shop in a week, please submit those questions. I'd be happy to dive into it and tell you all about it. Before we get into that, the questions though, I want to point out a couple of things that we finished recently. I mentioned the costume we're making with Jazza, who's an illustrator out of Australia, really awesome guy. Brittany has been working on a costume for him, and the first part of that video series is up on our YouTube channel, as well as the designed video that Jazza put on his channel. So if you want to see what he did to design the costume, go watch his video, and then if you want to see Brittany building it, go watch our video. Also, I already built a prop in the new shop. I made Captain America's shield from Infinity War just from what I could find in the half-moved workshop, and that was a lot of fun. So that's all up on the YouTube channel as well. We're going to do more and more stuff like that as things progress with the new shop space. It's all just kind of chaos right now. I'm happy to point out, too, though, that we bought a couch today, so we have a couch in the shop, or in the office of the shop, which is great. Place to take a nap.
That is important.
It is. This new couch has a recliner built into it, and I'm really excited about that. It has 2 recliners. Boom.
Oh.
I have a question for you, Josh. Do you have any shops near you that are like, so we have a Habitat for Humanity store where basically people are, when they tear down houses or old buildings, all the fixtures and everything, they just give to the Habitat for Humanity store, and then they resell it at a bargain, but then that money goes into helping build houses. Do you have any stores like that, or like Goodwill or Value Village?
Oh yeah, we have Valley Village, VV Boutique.
Is that
thrift
what it's called?
stores.
It's called VV Boutique.
That's what we call it here. Yeah. Because we fancy.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, there's lots of thrift stores. There's a couple maker spaces too, where people kind of just bring stuff that they don't want in their house, and you can just kind of do whatever.
That's great.
With so yeah.
Well, I'll tell you this: if folks at home are looking for stuff for your shop, if you're looking for furniture for your shop, stuff that you might beat up and you don't care that much about, the Habitat for Humanity store is really awesome. We got that couch. It is a 3-seater couch with 2 recliners in it for $80. Not bad. We also got a fireproof cabinet for the shop. And then there's always like tables, and they're kind of usually weird looking tables, but who cares if it's for your shop? And they're ridiculously cheap. So there you go. Good tip heading at you. I think that's all the news I had. Oh, Brittany and I are going to Maker Faire in the Bay Area. If anyone is going to be at that, then we will be there. So look for us. Great. Okay. We're going to dive into questions. If you have a prop and costume making question, please submit it over at punishprops.com/live. And I'm going to read the first one. Are you ready, Josh?
I will do my best.
With those headphones, you look ready.
Okay.
Those headphones are the headphones of a man who does not mess around.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Candace has a question. I'm still new to cosplaying. I've only really made a Batwoman costume that my granny helped me with. I want to make a Captain Marvel suit like the movie promo. What material should I use? This is a question I have no idea about. But Josh,
I'm gonna Google Captain Marvel suit.
Yeah,
so I know what I'm looking at. But if it's a jumpsuit, probably spandex.
Mm-hmm. I'll see if I can find a picture to put up on the screen. 2019 is when that's coming out, apparently. So let's see here. The problem is that a lot of these pictures are... Okay, this is the one from the set. And it's green. I don't know why it's green. It should be like blue and gold and red. But it's...
Yeah, I think I'm looking at the same one, yeah.
Right. So it's like
it looks like a jumpsuit.
Yeah, like one of the more modern superhero suits, but it doesn't look like it's necessarily skin tight.
No, not really, yeah.
Yeah. So do you have a good sort of baseline for what kind of material you might at least start with on a costume like that?
Well, the Yaya hand collection has one that's really popular with cosplayers. It's kind of like the hex fabric. It's a really heavy-duty spandex. Has a kind of a faux leather look to it.
I actually have the sample, a binder with the samples of all those, but it's in the new. Okay. It's not here. It's in the new shop. But
I would think that's probably the best bet.
Let's see. Browse the entire collection today. Oh, there's so many cool fabrics. This one here, it's not the right one. I'm trying to find the one you were talking about, the hex one. I know which one that is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this stuff here. The Scuba hex is what they call it. That's really cool.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure what the texture is supposed to be like on hers. But this Scuba hex is a... What kind of I don't know what kind of fabric it actually is. It's 94% polyester and 6% spandex. That's what that is. So
So it probably has kind of a pleathery feel. Yeah, I would think. Yeah.
Yeah, that might work.
That would give the good texture, I think, and it'd be pretty heavy duty, so you wouldn't have to worry about.
I'll tell you what I do, and I don't know very much about fabric, but if I do have something I need to match, I just have a picture on my phone, and then I go to the store and I just touch all the fabric. Just like...
That's what I do too. I'm just like walking in the aisles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'll want to know that if it's a 2-way or 4-way stretch, right? Because if you're going to move around a lot in it, the more directions that can stretch in, the more comfortable it's going to be. And if it doesn't stretch at all... and you need to move your legs around a lot, then that can be a problem.
Yeah, you better be really good with measuring.
Yeah, yeah.
If it's no stretch. Yeah.
Now, how would you go about patterning something like that? Like, or even just getting started with a pattern?
Getting started with a pattern, first off, you know your measurements because that's important. But if you have a body form, tape patterns are great.
Oh, yeah.
I think Kamui Cosplay does a lot of tape pattern tutorials. And then also, like, store-bought patterns, like I said, the cosplay Macals, like Yaya Hands collection, they're all very well detailed.
Right.
I have to make my own because I'm a weird size and nothing fits me. But they're all super fantastic and really easily read. Like, the directions are really easy to follow. So I would start off by that if you have no knowledge whatsoever.
I found a website that's got a bunch. It's Sewing Measurements Worksheets. I'll share the link, but this seems like a pretty cool place to go get started when it comes to getting measurements. Or at the very least, when someone says, like, to measure your hips, like where it's got a really good graphic that shows
Not your
where.
waist,
No,
your hips.
yeah. It's really important. So I'll share that link in the show notes too if you're looking to get started there. Well, cool. Thank you, Candace, for the question, and good luck on the build, and good luck picking out a really good fabric. The next question is also about fabric. This is from Maddie Cat Cosplay. Excuse me. My Black Butte Porter is coming back to haunt me. Any advice for working with stretch fabric? I've always had problems with bunching and can't seem to get it right. Are there any just basic tips for working with stretch fabric?
The first thing, and I suggest it with every sewing project, get yourself a walking foot.
Oh,
they are wonderful. They because bunching is usually the top fabric is getting pushed back as you're sewing because just the bottom is pulling the fabric.
Mm-hmm.
So a walking foot kind of hops with the needle, so it kind of grabs it at the same time, so you don't have to worry about the bunching, and it does a super even job of sewing it.
Now a foot might be specific to your model of sewing machine. Is that correct?
They can generally, there comes standard walking foots that will fit most machines.
Okay.
Mine's a standard one, and it fits Singer, Janome, Kenmore.
Oh yeah,
kind of thing.
So this one that I found here on Amazon says it's for Brother, Singer, Baby Lock, Janome, Kenmore. It's got a bunch of things listed.
Yeah, unless you have a really fancy machine, most foots fit on most machines.
All right. Well, I will link to this one. It's $18.50 on Amazon. So I'll link to that in the show notes if people want to check that out. I'm going to add it to my wish list.
Comes with a bunch of attachments. Yeah.
Yeah. I need one of those. Actually, Brittany, do we have one of those? If you're watching, Britt, let me know if we already have one. Okay, so walking foot is tip number 1. Any more tips?
Foot, stretch needles. The right needle for the right fabric is super important because that will cause.
What's the difference between a stretch needle and just like a general purpose needle?
A stretch needle has a rounded kind of ballpoint tip, so it goes in between the fibers, not puncturing them, and also has a larger eye, which is where you insert the thread, and that kind of, it's hard to explain. It's how it works with the bobbin thread to sew the actual thread, and it's specifically designed for stretch fabrics.
Very good. And that's the sort of thing you could probably just get at any sewing store, I imagine.
Oh yeah. Yeah, they're $3.
Brittany has confirmed we do not have a walking foot, so I'm going to add that to my wish list on Amazon. This is what happens every time we do a Q&A with a guest. I end up having to buy a bunch of new tools. I have to. All right, walking foot, stretch needles, anything else?
Stretch stitch. You could get stretch thread. It's not super important. If you really want to stretch it, go with the stretch thread, but I've never had an issue.
So the stretch stitch is just a setting on the sewing machine then, right?
Yeah, so you can use a close zigzag stitch. There's a lot of stretch stitches.
Cool. Redbird Props, our employee page, says that Teflon feet are the best for working with pleather. I didn't know.
Yes. Yeah, because it's a plastic foot, so any sticky fabric won't stick.
Oh, that's pretty
as
great.
You're sewing it.
Oh, look at that. That's just a normal. This is just a normal foot. It's just plastic instead of metal. Look at that. That's pretty great. And again, it fits a million different machines. Very good. Awesome. I think we've covered that pretty thoroughly. Thank you, Maddie Cat Cosplay, for the question. Let's see. Next one's from Zia. And Zia wants to know, I'm using a PVC pipe for the core of my bow for the foam. Should you make donuts slide over the pipe, or do you have a better way? That's interesting. So the structure of this bow, like bow and arrow sort of thing, is made out of a bent PVC pipe. But then to make the cosmetic parts, they're covering it with pieces of foam, and they're making donuts. Donuts that slide over the PVC pipe, like a bunch of them to cover the whole thing.
Okay.
Yeah. That seems like it ought to work. I think it might depend more on the what the final shape is supposed to look like. Because those where you sandwich all of those pieces together, there's going to be seams between, even if you use contact cement, there's going to be seams there that may not be perfect. So it may make more sense to just have strips of foam, like 4 of them that make like a rectangle around the form shape, and then you kind of sand that down smooth. But I think either way ought to work.
Yeah, I did a big double recurve bow for one Faire cosplay, and I just did PVC and I just sandwiched it in foam, and then once it was sandwiched, I sanded it nice and round. And
there you go.
Yep.
Trying to find a picture of that on your Instagram. Going way back. I don't see it.
Look for the bunny ears.
Look for the bunny ears.
The woods.
I saw bunny ears at some point. Wait for it. Oh, wait. There's bunny ears, but no woods. Oh, there it is. Found it. There we go. Giant recurve bow. That's pretty great. Cool. Did you make the core of that out of PVC pipe?
Yeah, just bent PVC. Yeah.
Another quick tip too: if you have PVC pipe and you got to bend it pretty, if you have to bend it a lot to keep it from kinking on itself, you could fill it with sand first, and then heat it up with a heat gun, and then bend it, and it won't collapse on itself. There you go. I would be interested to see how your PVC bow that's got foam on it turns out, Zia. So once it's finished, please send us a picture. You can tweet at me on Twitter @Chinbeard. Be happy to see how it turns out. Okay, let's move on. Corium9, one of our regulars, is curious about moving our shop space. After the move, how did you decide what went and what, if anything, stayed? So things that stay home is like emergency tools. Well, we're not quite done yet. But I will say that we're at the point where the tools, there are things we have to do here, and the tools that I need are not here anymore. So next time we go to the new shop, I have to get those tools and bring them back here so that I can finish taking stuff apart. So we didn't really so much decide as we threw as much as we could in the back of the car and we drove it to the new shop. Have you ever had to move most of your crafting stuff, or has it all generally been in this one location where you live now?
Yeah, I actually only started just over 2 years ago, so I've been here the whole time. Yeah. So I'm running out of space.
Yeah, I was going to say, I have a question for you then. In the 2 years, how much stuff do you think you've accumulated? Because we've been down in this space. Yeah, we've been in this space for 5 years. And now that all of the stuff is out of this space and it's in the new shop in a big open, wide open space, if you look at all of that, I was like, wow, I didn't own any of that 5 years ago. A, I spent a lot of money. And B, I can't believe that all fit in my basement.
Yeah, that is what I'm finding out now. It's like you can't look anywhere without having to explain something to someone when they come over. Like, oh yeah.
What takes up, for you, for you, what takes up the most space?
Probably all the finished costumes, like packing them away. Yeah. I have a wardrobe that's was full within a week kind of thing, and Tupperware containers everywhere. Yeah.
We actually, We haven't even moved most of that. That's mostly in our guest room. Guest bedroom has a big closet, so most of our finished costumes are still up there. And they may live there. Actually, we have a lot of space down in this basement now, so we might move them down here.
That would be, yeah.
Then when we have guests over and they go into the spare bedroom, they're not like, I don't know if they're weirded out. Our friends aren't that weirded out.
There's a headless mannequin looking.
Yeah, there's a lot of armor and stuff just sort of jammed into the closet.
Yeah. Conversation starter.
Yeah, totally.
Sure.
He's curious, did you come across anything during the move that made you go, why the hell did I buy this? Or I forgot I bought this. Actually, I have a fun story. I bought a little engineer square, and it was just tiny. It's adorable. Sometimes it's useful to have the small version of a certain tool. I bought it, and I immediately lost it. And this was like 6 months ago. I never used it. But when we were cleaning, I moved something out, and I was like, all right, I found it. Woo! But no, most of the stuff we purchased gets used, which is weird because it's a lot. It's a lot of stuff that all gets used. Mostly it's just like scraps of wood. Like I'm like, oh, this piece of wood is still good. I can't throw it away, and I throw it in a drawer. And now I have a drawer full of tiny useless scraps of wood, and I have to decide whether or not I should throw it away. That's mostly what we've been trying to figure out the last couple of days.
I'm the same with scraps of fabric.
Right.
I can't throw it away.
Yeah, if it's like this big and it's really, really awesome, well, I'll totally use that. I have a secret for you. You probably won't. You probably never use it. Yeah. I don't know if you can tell, but I'm a little bit done with this whole moving thing. Thank you for the question, Corium9. Actually, you know what? He usually asks if our guests have any hidden talents. So I'm just going to go ahead and ask that. Do you have any hidden talents? So,
hidden talents.
For example, I can juggle 3 juggling balls.
That's good. I can't do that.
Can you solve a Rubik's Cube?
Nope.
No?
What would be a hidden talent?
Do you know any other languages?
We're Canadian. We kind of know French. I mean, I am a pastry chef, so,
yeah?
But I don't know if that counts as being a hidden talent.
I didn't know that about you. That's awesome.
So, like, making sculpted... I'm quite good at sculpting gum paste and fondant, I guess.
That's awesome.
Which is actually quite useful in cosplay. So
yeah, I know, right? Brittany's excited about that. She's in the chat. Excited about pastries. Fantastic. Well, cool. Thank you, Corium9, for the wonderful questions. I'm going to keep moving on here. Brittany's Brittany is adding notes to the show notes. She wants to know if you are into the Great British Bake Off. You ever watch that show?
I haven't actually. I've heard about it, but I don't actually have TV, so okay. I haven't seen it.
Some of it's on Netflix. If you have Netflix, it's on there.
Oh, okay.
Well, highly recommended. Highly recommended. Okay. Habiteer Workshop has a question. I believe he's also hanging out in the chat. Curious about a warehouse. When did you decide it was time to get a warehouse space? Not sure if I should expand or save up as I'm growing out of home space. Well, for us anyway, the one of the main concerns is just safety. I mean, you guys know this, but like the ceiling is just right there. I can touch the ceiling. This is not what I would consider a properly ventilated area. It's not super safe, but it's affordable. So as soon as we figured we could afford a new, like an exterior commercial shop space was when we started looking. We have an employee now. And we're working on our second employee. And I don't want to have employees working in my house. So we needed a space for that. How about you, Josh? If you're starting to get full up in your space, have you considered either moving to a commercial space or a larger rental?
Luckily, my friend just bought a house. So
hey!
I'm going to cozy up with her and use her garage. Because right now, all of my stuff that needs proper ventilation or sanding is like done in my little bathroom. Because that's the easiest spot to clean up. So
very good. I like that kind of problem solving, though. That's something that we point out a lot, too. We have a lot of people who say, well, I can't do that because I work out of an apartment. But if you have a friend who has a garage, that's very exciting. You're gonna have a good time in a big space.
I think so. Yeah.
Habiteer Workshops isn't sure if you should expand or not. I have a couple of good pieces of advice for anyone who's considering moving into something like a commercial space. This is advice I got from a couple of different people who help mentor me in my business. One is figure out why you're doing it, right? For us, the two big things was safety and building our team. Two big reasons why we wanted to move. Also, it's cool. It's just neat to have more space. But that couldn't be the only reason why we were doing it. And then the other thing is realize how much you're committing to when you're signing a lease. We signed a 3-year lease for this shop space, and it's not cheap. So we know how much money we're going to spend in the next 3 years. That's how much we're on the hook for. Legally, we're on the hook for that much money, and it's not a small amount of money. So we have to decide, this is how much we're on the hook for. How much can we get out of it? And for us, it was worth it once you did that sort of cost benefit analysis thing. So just do that for yourself. And if you don't live near Seattle, it probably won't be nearly as expensive. So thanks for the question. Moving on. Deathbright wants to know how much dancing the new place has had. There's been dancing. We got music set up. That was one of the priorities. We got music going. All right. Christy from The Honest Cosplayer. What advice would you give to high school kids interested in starting cosplay or prop making? I teach a cosplay class, and I love passing along the good word from the pros. That's a really great question. Thank you, Christy. So, Josh, what advice would you give to high schoolers just getting into the hobby?
Just getting into it.
Mm-hmm.
I think the most important thing would be don't compare yourself to anybody else. Just do it for you. Just cosplay for yourself. Don't worry about what anybody else is doing. Because you're going to psych yourself out.
Yeah, that's good advice. Especially when you have, I don't know about you, but when I was in high school, we didn't have, the internet wasn't what it is now. It's so easy, even for me, to go look on the internet and see something amazing someone else did and go, well, I'm not even going to bother.
Right?
Yeah.
You can upset yourself real fast.
Oh. Yeah. How about this? If I have to take this off. I'm just noticing stuff I haven't taken out of my shop. If someone was getting into it right now and they had no tools, what would you say they should get first?
Is this for prop making then?
For, let's say, just cosplay in general.
In general.
Yeah.
A good sewing machine.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be like expensive, just a basic model will be good enough kind of thing.
Do you have any favorite models or brands?
I've always used Singer. Mm-hmm. It's kind of my go-to.
Cool.
It's really easy to find parts. They're cheap to fix kind of thing.
Oh, good.
And then a Dremel would be
very good.
Probably the second thing because they're pretty handy for pretty much everything.
Yep, I agree.
And then a lot of foam.
A lot of foam. Hard to go wrong with foam. If you guys watch the video I did in the new shop space, I could barely find any of my tools, but I had foam, a knife, and glue, and a little bit of paint, and that's really it. Yeah, that's all I used to put that thing together, so that'll get you started.
Maybe a cheap heat gun.
I use a heat gun too.
Yeah, that might be needed too.
Excellent. That's all really good advice. I will say too, if you're just getting started, make sure you set yourself some appropriate expectations. Choose a project that's ambitious but realistic.
Yes.
Otherwise, you'll never finish it, and you'll never get. So pick something you feel pretty good that you could finish. All right. Thank you, Christy, for the question. Malcolm has a question. He's curious about making creature masks. Now, I don't have a ton of experience with creature masks. Have you done much in that arena?
No, it's something I look forward to doing.
Yeah.
But it is not something I have adventured into yet.
Do you have a creature in particular that you would like to do?
I mean, there's so many different options. Like, I did a Sly Cooper cosplay like a long time ago, and it would have been so great to have like all the prosthetics and like actually make myself look like a raccoon.
Yeah.
But that didn't happen yet. So it would be nice to redo that. That was the first costume I ever made, so it's kind of... I would like to redo it the proper way.
If you're looking to get into mask making and you want to be like really legit, the guys at Immortal Masks are amazing. And I'm going to bring up a video here. Tested did a video with them, really kind of going through their whole process. They do molding and casting. All their masks are silicone. They're really, really cool. So if you want to see like how the really good stuff is made, then go check out that video. We will link to it in the show notes. But there's lots of other stuff you could do too. You could sculpt a mask out of clay and then make a mold out of plaster and then cast it in latex. You could slip cast it in latex. That's a little bit more of a lower budget way to do it. I've never done that before, so...
I have a question about that, actually.
All right.
When you say lower budget, what are we talking about there? Because that's something I didn't know at all.
So if you could buy like $50 worth of monster clay. You could buy a head form that you're going to sculpt it on to sculpt the main thing. Or you could do a life cast of yourself. Those are going to cost you a couple $100. And then you do the sculpting, and then if you want to cast it in... silicone, you would make the mold out of fiberglass. So you need, $100 in epoxy, you need fiberglass cloth, you need to make the mold, 2-part mold, and then you need like $50 worth of silicone to cast the head. The good news is once you've like started down that road and you have all the supplies, you can make multiple molds and stuff. It's not as expensive, but the barrier to entry is, like $500 worth of materials.
That first Amazon cart's going to be a little scary.
A little rough, yeah. But if you're going to do like, let's say it's just a mask that covers just your face, you could sculpt that in clay, maybe $20 worth of monster clay. You could make a plaster bandage mold of it, and that might be $10 worth of plaster. It's not going to be a very durable mold, but it'll work. And then you could dump, $20 worth of latex in there to slip cast it, and you've got yourself a mask. Then you got to paint it and all that stuff too. So there is a much lower budget, like less than $100 you could get into it. It just depends on how much you want to, how legit you want it. If it's a silicone mask that you make, the higher end ones, they're indestructible. They'll last you forever. But go watch that video. Watch the video that the guys at Tested did from Immortal Masks, and that'll really, you'll see how like the pros do it. It's really impressive. And someday, I promise, Malcolm, someday we will dive into that, but not today. Redbird Props has a question. Paige wants to know, I need to make a full body suit for my Skull Kid cosplay that also goes over the giant foam head I made for him. How do you approach challenging patterns and shapes when sewing from scratch? I'm going to toss that one to Josh.
First, lay everything out. Like, I'm so excited for that Skull Kid cosplay. I've been following the progress.
Yeah.
It looks amazing. Lay everything on the ground and figure out the rough shape that you're looking at first. So then you can start to gather your fabric.
Is that the sort of thing you'd make a mock-up of first?
Yeah. Whenever you make your own costumes, you should generally do a mock-up, like the super cheap bargain fabric.
Yeah.
It's like $3 a meter kind of thing. But yeah, I would start by kind of just drawing out my base pattern with all my shapes sitting on it. And then from there, kind of cut everything out, make a mock-up, and then the mock-up's where you start to actually make the pattern. So that's when you can start kind of grabbing fabric bunches and pinning them, bringing everything in so you get that nice fit. And then once you have all those changes, you can mark them with a Sharpie and kind of transfer it to your actual pattern.
There you go.
If that is explained.
Yes. It made sense to me anyway. And I'm terrible at sewing. Thank you
or
for
tracing yourself is a good start. Yeah.
Yeah. That's what
I just saw in the comments.
Yeah. Cool. Well, thank you. Thanks, Paige, for the question. And also thank you for helping move everything out of my shop. We've had the whole team here, all hands on deck, moving everything out of the basement. Let's see. Frozen has a question. Is the new shop being rigged for video production, or will you just work around the space you have? We have some pretty fantastic plans as far as video production goes. We're going to build my workbench area for video production. So it'll have proper lighting. It'll hopefully be rigged really well so it's not echoey like it is down here now. So it's going to be a work in progress, but we're planning on making it the best place to film tutorial videos. It's going to be awesome. Thanks for the question. Nerdy Views has a question. Any large tool equipment purchases on the horizon for the new shop? I'm going to throw that one to Josh. Josh, do you have any tools that you're looking forward to potentially purchasing in the upcoming months or years?
For myself, is a serger sewing machine. Because that would be lovely.
Is there a specific model that you've got your eyes on?
Just a Singer brand, because I might as well. I got a heavy duty Singer for Christmas, and it's fantastic. Mm-hmm. But yeah, the serger for the Singer would just kind of keep with my brand kind of thing. And then it seems like it's an easier model. Sergers can be really tricky and difficult to thread. This seems like a beginner's serger, so I'll start with that one.
There you go. Like it. This the one I have up right now is the Singer Pro Finish Serger Overlock Machine. It has 4 spools of thread on it.
Yes.
I don't know why. I don't know anything about these machines.
That is, yeah. I've been told that threading a serger it's an experience. Yeah. It's a journey. Yeah.
Cool. That's really neat. I have no idea what they do. I want to get an embroidery machine. It's basically like a sewing CNC machine. Yeah. I get my head around that. That's one of the luxury products that's also on my wish list, but we'll see if I get there. Yeah. But serger is next, the next big one for you.
Serger is nice. It finishes your seams on the insides of the garments nicely, so you don't have to worry about the fraying and all that. So,
for us, one of the things I want to get is a vertical mill. The challenge I've had. Let's go to Craigslist. Let's go on a journey, see what's available. The problem is a lot of the ones I've found around here in Seattle are industrial. It's like a Bridgeport mill, which is fine. Like, that's really cool. In fact, our new shop has 3-phase power. Like, we could totally run one there. So unnecessary for what I do. It's like the Bridgeport mill wouldn't fit in this basement. It's too tall. So I need like a benchtop version of that. But I don't see any available on Craigslist right now. It's something I could buy new. Yeah. The other downside is that the giant ones are expensive. So this one wouldn't fit in my basement. I couldn't. It's 3-phase power, and it's also 8 million pounds and costs $5,200. So I probably won't get that one. But if I can get a nice benchtop mill, I will. Oh, what's this one? Hold on. Hold the phone. That one looks pretty good. And it's only $3,500. What a deal!
Add it to the cart.
Yeah. It's in Auburn. That's perfect. Just go ahead and leave that tab open. But no, the main things that we have to do is like we want to run our air compressor lines, so we have air all the way through the shop. We want to run drop-down power everywhere. We want to run dust collection to all the dust-making tools. So a lot of the upgrades we're making are really like quality of life upgrades. Hopefully it keeps the shop a lot cleaner and safer. We also need an air filter system. That'll probably be one of the first things we buy. So not exciting, but necessary. Thanks for the question, Elton. More Props Art Cosplay has a question. What's the best way to make armor patterns without a body form? Oh, that's an interesting question. How would you go about doing that, Josh?
Well, first I'd take my Foamsmith book and flip through that. Honestly, I started with, reading your book, Kamui Cosplay Books, and then kind of just trial and error is kind of how I started. Just with paper. Obviously, you don't want to waste your foam. And yeah, just seeing how shapes come together.
And then just trying to, like, using paper patterns and kind of fitting them to your body. And
fitting them, or using tape patterns. And
at some point, I know I want to make a set of basic armor patterns that we would have for sale on our website. I don't have them available yet. I thought for some reason that Evil Ted did. Yeah, here we go. If you go to Evil Ted's website, he's got a basic male armor pattern and a basic female armor pattern. He's also got my books for sale. So while you're there, you could grab those. They're really basic though, but it's $6, so you could download it, print it out, and then that will get you halfway there, and then you could tweak it and modify it to fit you more appropriately. Yeah. But like you said, Josh, it's a lot of trial and error. Like every project is trial and error. Yeah, everything we make.
But yeah, if you buy those basic patterns, pretty much once you have a good basic pattern, you can do anything with it.
Yeah. And like I said, at some point we'll have some of those patterns available in our store too. Very cool. Oh, also I do want to point out though, you should probably get a body form. They're just really handy. Like keep an eye on Craigslist for when people are getting ready. Actually, I have Craigslist open. Let's see if there's any mannequins available for sale. Mannequins. We can get a bunch of them. Oh my god, there's some really weird mannequin heads. Hold on, I'm gonna bring this up on the web browser. There's a really weird mannequin with a really weird beard. That's wacky. But for $100, you could get this 6-foot tall mannequin, which is almost anatomically correct. So you got that going for you.
There you go.
There's dress forms. There's all kinds of stuff available. We found ours, I think, at Walmart, and it was like $80 or something like that. So you might be able to get one even cheaper if you get it used on Craigslist. So just keep an eye on Craigslist. Yeah. We want to get more
businesses going out of business.
Yeah, that's
where I got all mine. They were like $20.
Oh, that's perfect. Yeah, and usually they'll have like if it's a department store going out of business, they'll have dozens of them. And you're doing them a favor getting rid of them because nobody wants a dozen naked mannequins in their in their storage unit. Cool. All right, I need to close this, otherwise I'm going to start buying mannequins.
Create an army.
Yeah. We do need more so that we can pose. Since we have space in our new shop space, we want to put our costumes on mannequins and have them on display. Because right now they're in boxes. Thanks for the question. Let's move on here. He's curious about 3D printing. Josh, have you done much 3D printing?
I have not.
No?
The future scares me, but I'm excited to try it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Do you have your eyes on any particular 3D printers?
No, I haven't gone that far. I've just seen the other projects other cosplayers have done. Right now, frankly, I get a big thrill out of just carving it myself out of foam.
Yeah.
But when you see how detailed it can get, it's like, oh, yeah, I want that.
Bio Cosplay in the chat says, speak for yourself, Bill. Someone out there is super into a dozen naked mannequins in their storage unit. Thank you for that, Sam. Ben wants to know, what's your ultimate tip for post-processing 3D prints? And if I'm totally honest with you, you gotta be kind of into sanding a lot. You could smooth it with acetone. You could cover it in epoxy. But if you can't put up with sanding something a couple of times, like really getting in with needle files and sanding it, then you're not going to have any fun working with 3D prints. FDM machines, even really, really good ones, you're still going to see those lines that are a dead giveaway that you 3D printed it. Yes, Habitude Workshop says a lot of sanding. So much sanding. Yeah. So, yeah, just go through the grits. I like printing with ABS plastic just because it's a lot easier to sand than PLA. But a lot of people print with PLA because it's much easier to print with. So, Your results may vary, but get really friendly with your sandpaper. Buy good sandpaper and needle files, and then you have all the control at your fingertips for getting fine detail. So that's what you have to look forward to, Josh, when you get into 3D printing.
So much sanding. I love sanding.
Oh, good. Well, it's perfect.
Yeah. It's like therapeutic because it's like you can't really mess up sanding.
Yeah.
It's just, you're just sanding.
Right.
So
that's one of the only things I do where I can like put on music or a movie and kind of zone out.
Exactly.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you, Ben. Lady Queen Slayer has a question. I'm working on a cartoon version of Maleficent, I imagine, from the Disney Sleeping Beauty movie. Do you have any tips on making her sleeves? Oh, I gotta find a picture. Disney. Maleficent. So she has like these really long, like draped sleeve things going on. Yeah. Oh, look at that bruise. I got that moving. What's going on there? Any tips for giant I don't even know what you would call that, but sleeves that like wizard sleeves.
Wizard sleeves. Well, really, you're gonna take your basic sleeve pattern and just expand it, like keep the sleeve curve the same, but you're just gonna add all that bulk. But honestly, hers kind of looks like it's just a big draped kind of capey cloak thing, so it doesn't even look like they're separate sleeves.
Yeah, it almost just looks like it. I will demonstrate with this dirty paper towel. It looks like it just hangs over her wrist and then just keeps going.
Yeah,
all the way down.
Like when you just wrap a blanket over your shoulders.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, that's kind of what it looks like it is, kind of thing.
That's interesting. I don't know about you, but I've tried recreating things from 2D animation, and they cheat so much that it doesn't make sense in 3D. Have you ever run into that problem? Probably with anime stuff, right?
Anime stuff? Yeah, that is just ridiculous. Like, what is that?
Yeah.
When you're trying to, like, create a structured garment that is just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Based on physics. Like...
I will give you an example. Not that I'm making a Sailor Moon costume, but I'm familiar with the character. Her skirt, okay, like loops down in the bottom, right? And down in the back, which would mean her hips are exposed on the sides. But when you look at her from the side, they loop down on the side. It's like her skirt is static and she rotates in it. You know what I mean? And if you have to recreate that as a costume, you can't, because your hips would be exposed. I mean, you could. It's just, unless you could like...
You could pull that risque cosplay look.
Yeah. I got some pictures up here. I don't know why Sailor Moon has a shotgun in this picture, but that's a thing.
Because why not have a shotgun?
Her skirt goes up on the sides, but when they have a view of her from the sides, you don't see her hips. It's a thing. Yeah. So obviously you would just make a normal skirt, but it wouldn't look quite right.
Oh yeah. We're gonna say that's just the angle of the camera, kind of thing. So it's kind of like taken from a top view, so it would kind of look like that.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, but yeah, just a basic pleated skirt.
It's actually,
otherwise it's gonna look weird in person.
It would look really, really weird. It's the same thing with Mickey Mouse, by the way. This'll. I'm sorry if I'm ruining anyone's childhood. If you look at Mickey Mouse from straight on, his ears are facing directly towards you. But if you look at Mickey Mouse where his head is sideways, the ears are still facing forward. So his ears just rotate with his head. Oh, I lost my headphones. His ears just rotate, so when he turns his head, they stay on the plane of the camera. That's just how it is. So, damn it, Mickey Mouse. But again, if you just made Mickey Mouse costume with ears on the front, I think everyone would get the point.
I guess, but I mean, if you can make them rotate,
that would be pretty awesome.
That would just look weird.
Cool. Well, I'll tell you what, we are crawling to the end here, and it looks like that is all of the questions. So thank you, everyone, so much for hanging out with us today and bringing your fantastic questions. And Josh, thank you so much for hanging out with us for the last hour.
That's so much fun.
That's
Thank
awesome.
you.
What's next for you? Are you going to any conventions coming up soon?
Our next big convention is an anime convention here called Otafest.
Otafest. So is that Otafest? I'm guessing.
That is it. Yep. So that's over May long. So next weekend, actually, already.
Very cool. Trying to open the website, and there it is. Awesome. So if you guys are up in Calgary, you can go hang out with folks up there. What will you be wearing at Otafest? Do you have any plans?
I haven't really decided yet. Honestly, yeah. I'm going there to... they're hosting the Cosplay Cup competition. That kind of goes there, so I'm going to cheer on more friends there competing, so... I haven't really decided. My Sailor Mercury is always accepted at anime festivals. So
very cool.
That might be the one. It's super comfy. So
that's I'll tell you what. The older I get, the more I'm into comfortable costumes.
So nice. You can go to the bathroom in.
Yes, very important. Something else I want to point out before we end the show is that BlizzCon tickets go on sale, I believe, in about 1 hour tonight. If you're watching this show after the fact, then you missed it, but they have a second day when they put tickets on sale. We will be trying to get our tickets tonight at 7 p.m. Pacific, but if you're watching live and you want to be at BlizzCon, then make sure you hop on that in 1 hour. Cool. Well, I think that's going to do it for today. Thank you again, Josh, for hanging out, and I hope you have fun at Otafest. And I hope we see some of you guys at the Bay Area Maker Faire very soon. Other than that, I need to go because we have to keep moving everything out of our shop. So thanks for hanging out with us, everyone, and we'll see you all in the next exciting episode of Prop Live Q&A. All right. Awesome.